You think you re free because you can choose, because no one is pointing a gun to your head, no one is forcing you to obey. But what if your choices were never truly yours to begin with? Imagine waking up each morning, reaching for your phone before even opening your eyes, scrolling endlessly through the glowing screen. You tell yourself it's harmless, just a habit, a way to connect, a small dose of joy. Yet behind that tiny hit of pleasure hides something far darker. Every swipe, every click, every like, all designed to feed your hunger for comfort, your need for stimulation. You are not escaping the system, you are feeding it. The same mechanism that once protected our survival, the pursuit of pleasure, has been weaponized against us. Now, it no longer serves you. It controls you. This is the paradox of modern freedom. We live in an age with infinite choice, yet our minds have never been so confined. Aldous Huxley warned of this nearly a century ago, a world where people would love their servitude, where the cage would be made not of iron, but of dopamine and distraction. A society where comfort replaces consciousness and pleasure becomes the new chain. So look around. Everywhere you turn, someone is smiling, scrolling, consuming, their eyes glazed over, their souls anesthetized. They believe they are free. They believe they are choosing. But deep down, something in you knows this isn't freedom, it's sedation. If pleasure is the bait, what, then, is the trap? Decades ago, two men envisioned humanity's future, George Orwell and Aldous Huxley. Orwell feared a world of pain, where freedom would be crushed by force, where truth would be banned and minds would be broken under the weight of fear. But Huxley saw something even more terrifying, a future where no one would need to burn books, because no one would care to read them. A world where people would be enslaved, not by fear, but by pleasure. Huxley's vision was subtle, seductive, and far more dangerous. He imagined a civilization so saturated with comfort that rebellion itself would become unthinkable. People would be trained to love their chains, not out of coercion, but out of addiction. The perfect prison would not need guards or walls. It would be built from the inside the human mind. And its gatekeeper would be pleasure. Now look around. His prophecy wasn't fiction, it's reality. The soma Huxley described, the drug that kept citizens of brave new world obedient and numb, has been replaced by algorithms, entertainment, and endless notifications. Our dopamine is our leash, and every screen is a dose. We don't question the system because the system gives us everything we crave: stimulation, validation, comfort. The tragedy isn't that we're being controlled. It's that we've learned to love the control. We celebrate our distractions, glorify our addictions, and defend the very tools that keep us passive. This is the world Huxley saw coming. A society where truth is drowned in pleasure, and where the greatest act of rebellion is not shouting in anger, but sitting in silence. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned not to think, but to obey, not to question, but to conform. The system doesn't need to silence you. It just needs to keep you comfortable enough not to care. Every school bell, every advertisement, every notification is part of the same rhythm, a quiet symphony designed to train your brain to seek pleasure and avoid discomfort. Think about it. How long can you sit in silence before reaching for your phone? How long can you stare out a window before your mind begs for stimulation? This isn't weakness, it's programming. We have been taught that boredom is the enemy, that silence means something is wrong, that every empty moment must be filled with noise, images, and motion. But in truth, this is how control works, not through force, but through dependence. Each tap, each scroll, each burst of dopamine teaches your mind the same lesson. Don't think, just feel. Your ability to reflect, to sit with discomfort, to face the chaos of your own thoughts. All of it is slowly eroded by a world that promises pleasure at every corner. And yet, we call this progress. We call it connection, freedom, entertainment. But behind those bright colors and endless distractions, something precious is dying. Your capacity to be alone with yourself. The world doesn't want you to think. It wants you to consume. Because a distracted mind is a compliant one. And so, without a single command or act of violence, we become the perfect subjects, conditioned to obey not through fear, but through the craving for another taste of pleasure. The perfect slavery doesn't look like slavery at all. There are no shackles, no guards, no dictators barking orders. Instead, there's comfort, convenience, Entertainment, smiles on screens, notifications that whisper, "Stay here." Don't think, don't question. When pleasure becomes the center of your life, servitude disguises itself as freedom. You believe you are choosing your path, your passions, your pleasures, but in truth, they are being chosen for you. The modern world has mastered the art of invisible control. You don't need to be forced into obedience when the things that enslave you feel good. This is exactly what Aldous Huxley foresaw, a civilization so intoxicated by comfort that it would surrender its will without a fight. In Brave New World, citizens are taught to fear pain more than ignorance, to chase pleasure more than truth. Every problem, every anxiety, every whisper of doubt, all erased with a single pill called soma, a chemical illusion of happiness. But look closer at our world today. Our soma doesn't come in capsules. It glows behind glass. It vibrates in our pockets. It feeds us validation through likes, laughter through short videos, and the illusion of connection through endless scrolls. It promises relief, but gives dependence. You never have to face yourself, because pleasure keeps you distracted. You never have to confront emptiness, because the system offers you something sweeter every second. And slowly, you forget what silence feels like. You forget what meaning feels like. You call this freedom, but it's the most elegant form of slavery ever created. A prison where the walls are invisible, and the key is hidden inside your own desire. Imagine a world where no one suffers, where every pain has a pill, every sadness a distraction, every emptiness a quick fix. It sounds like paradise, but look deeper, and you'll see the curse hidden beneath the comfort. When a society eliminates all discomfort, it eliminates growth. Because it is through pain that we evolve, through struggle that we awaken, and through silence that we hear the truth. Aldous Huxley understood this perfectly. In Brave New World, he described a society where every trace of discomfort was erased by soma, where sadness was treated like a disease, and where even the slightest unease was considered a failure. But what happens to a human being who never feels pain? They become hollow, fragile, dependent. That is where we are now. We've built our own version of soma, not in laboratories, but in algorithms and marketplaces. We numb ourselves with food, with screens, with endless noise. The moment anxiety touches our skin, we drown it with dopamine. We never pause long enough to ask what that discomfort was trying to teach us. But pain has a purpose. It forces us to look inward, to confront who we are when everything comfortable is stripped away. Without discomfort, we forget how to endure. We forget how to think. And when a population loses its tolerance for pain, it becomes easy to manipulate. A society terrified of silence, desperate to be entertained, and willing to trade its freedom for one more dose of comfort. That is the cost of killing discomfort. A world that feels good, but means nothing. A world that is comfortable, but not alive. Look around you. Everything is designed to make you feel good. Not fulfilled, not awakened, not whole, just good enough to stay quiet. Every advertisement promises happiness. Every product claims to fill a void you didn't even know you had. But this isn't happiness, it's seduction. A carefully engineered illusion that keeps the machine running while convincing you it's your choice. In Huxley's dystopia, people were drugged into obedience. Today, the drug is pleasure itself, invisible, addictive, and always within reach. It lives in your feed, in your cravings, in the false comfort of constant distraction. You are told this is freedom. You are told you can have anything you want. But freedom without awareness isn't freedom. It's control wearing a smile. This is manufactured happiness, a happiness that demands nothing from you except your attention. And that's the catch, because your attention is the currency of control. Every second you scroll, every click you make, someone profits from your distraction. The world doesn't care if you are wise, only that you keep watching. But here's the tragedy: pleasure is fleeting. It never lasts. And that's what makes it so effective as a tool of control. The moment it fades, you reach for the next hit, the next video, the next bite, the next validation. You keep consuming because you're afraid to stop, afraid to face the silence that follows when the stimulation ends. And so the cycle continues: pleasure, emptiness, pleasure again. You call it happiness, but it's dependency. You call it living, but it's sedation. In a world where everything is designed to please you, the rarest act of rebellion is to stop seeking pleasure altogether. Pain, the one thing we were taught to avoid at all costs. The one experience our modern world has declared unnecessary, outdated, and cruel. Yet, in running from it, we've lost something essential, our strength. Because pain, in its purest form, is not an enemy. It's a teacher, a guide, a mirror that shows us who we are when everything easy is stripped away. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of the Holocaust, once wrote that those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. He understood something our generation has forgotten. That meaning is forged in struggle. Without pain, there is no purpose. Without challenge, there is no change. But in our endless search for comfort, we've built a culture that glorifies avoidance. We treat every discomfort as a malfunction, every failure as trauma, every silence as loneliness, never realizing that these are the very conditions in which the soul grows. Huxley's world was full of happiness, but it was hollow, mechanical, synthetic. The people in it smiled constantly, but they never felt alive. Their pleasures erased every shadow, but also every depth. And isn't that what's happening to us? We've traded depth for distraction, resilience for relief, truth for temporary pleasure. We've forgotten that to suffer is not to fail, it's to feel. The truth is, pain refines you. It humbles the ego, sharpens awareness, and reveals what truly matters. Every meaningful creation, every act of courage, every step toward wisdom, all are born from discomfort. But in a world obsessed with feeling good, pain has become taboo. And without it, we remain shallow, comfortable, yes, but easily controlled. If pleasure is what keeps us asleep, then pain is what wakes us up. To escape the cycle, you must first see it for what it is, a game designed to keep you chasing shadows. The world tells you to keep scrolling, to keep consuming, to keep soothing every flicker of unease with another burst of pleasure. But the only way out is to stop playing. This doesn't mean rejecting joy or living in self-denial. It means reclaiming control over what brings you pleasure. You must learn to choose rather than react, to step out of automatic behavior and become conscious of how your mind has been trained. The first rebellion is awareness. The moment you recognize that every impulse to seek distraction isn't yours, that it was planted, you begin to break the spell. The path to freedom begins with what I call strategic deprivation. Deny the system its grip on your attention. Turn off the noise. Step away from the glow. Go without the thing you crave for a while. The social media, the endless entertainment, the chemical comforts. Let your brain feel withdrawal. Let it ache for silence. In that space, something begins to shift. Your mind recalibrates. The small things begin to feel alive again. Then, rebuild your relationship with discomfort. Sit in silence. Let boredom stretch its limbs. Don't rush to fill every gap in time. Let the void speak. It's there, in those still moments, that your true self starts to re-emerge, the part of you that can think, feel, and create without needing to be fed by the machine. And once you've learned to sit with silence, the next step is reflection, asking the forbidden questions. Why do I feel the need to distract myself? Who profits from my addiction? Because the truth is, the more you question, the less control the system has over you. Finally, replace pleasure with purpose. Don't live to feel good, live to become good. Seek the satisfaction that doesn't fade when the screen goes dark. Purpose gives your pain meaning, and meaning gives you strength. That is the freedom the world doesn't want you to find. But awakening comes with a price. Once you begin to see the truth, the world around you starts to look different, quieter, emptier, almost alien. The same faces you once shared distractions with now seem distant. The conversations you used to enjoy feel shallow. The laughter you hear around you begins to sound rehearsed. You realize that most people don't want freedom, they want comfort. And comfort, more than anything, keeps them asleep. When you step outside the illusion, you stop fitting in. Your silence becomes unsettling to others, your awareness threatening. You will notice it in their eyes. That faint discomfort when you speak about depth in a world that worships distraction. People will say you've changed, that you're too serious, too distant, too detached. But what they truly mean is that you're no longer hypnotized. Because awakening forces you to stand alone. It strips away the noise, the validation, the constant approval that used to sustain you. It leaves you with something raw, yourself. And that is both terrifying and liberating. This is the cost of awakening. The loss of belonging to a world built on illusion. You'll miss the comfort of the crowd, the easy pleasures, the effortless laughter. But what you'll gain in return is something infinitely greater: clarity. You'll begin to see how others move through life half awake, driven by impulses they never chose, desires they never questioned. You'll see how much of humanity has traded its soul for convenience. And though the path is lonely, it's the only one that leads to truth. Because the moment you no longer need constant pleasure to exist, you become ungovernable. You are no longer a product to be sold, a mind to be programmed, or a heart to be manipulated. You become what the system fears most: free. And now, here you stand, awake, aware, and faced with a choice that most will never dare to make. You can close this video, return to the scroll, and let the noise swallow you again. Or you can stop running from the silence. You can let it surround you, cleanse you, and teach you to see. Because once you've glimpsed the truth, you can never unsee it. Aldous Huxley warned that the most efficient dictatorship would not use fear to control people. It would use pleasure. It would drown truth in entertainment and pacify the masses with comfort. And he was right. We are living in that world. A world where distraction is worshipped and discomfort is the new sin. But within that darkness lies your greatest opportunity: to break free. Freedom isn't about doing whatever feels good. It's about reclaiming your mind from the forces that feed on your attention. It's about choosing meaning over convenience, purpose over pleasure, awareness over anesthesia. True liberation doesn't come from adding more to your life. It comes from taking things away, stripping back every illusion until all that remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. And yes, that truth will make you lonely. It will separate you from those still lost in the glow of the machine. But it will also make you alive in a way you've never felt before. Because real freedom isn't comfortable, it's awakening. So what will you choose? The ease of sedation or the weight of awareness? The fleeting comfort of pleasure or the painful beauty of purpose? The choice, as it always has been, is yours. If this message spoke to you, if it made you pause, reflect, or feel that quiet spark inside, then don't just watch and move on. Think, question, disconnect, take back your mind. And if you wish to keep walking this path toward awareness, subscribe and join us. Not for pleasure, but for truth. Because pleasure is temporary, but purpose is freedom.